I'd like to call the Payroll Town Council work session together tonight for Monday, August 17th. We have 5 items. The first item is United Way presentation.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. It's my pleasure this evening to introduce to you Stephen Sheetram. He's the executive director for the local United Way, and he asked for a few minutes to share with you some of their goals and their mission and what they plan to do for the upcoming year. So, Stephen, I'll turn it over to you, please.
Thanks so much, Mayor. Hello, I appreciate you guys allowing me to come in and just speak for just a few minutes here this evening. I'd like to pass out something. I think what would be the best way, just to pass it around maybe? Yeah, thank you. It's just it's a brochure, and then it's some data that I would just like for you to be able to take a look at, just to kind of give you an update about what the United Way is doing. While that's being passed around, just I want to give you an update over the last year, like the 2019-2020 fiscal year for the United Way. Of course, what the United Way is doing in the community is bringing through collaboration, trying to harness the caring power of this community. That's what the United Way is doing. And so we're working in this community for that very reason. And over the last year, our year-over-year revenue growth was 63%, so we increased by that much. So we are working. The Community Impact Grant, in terms of the amount we were able to give out going into this new year, we increased that by 17%, which I'm really excited about that. We actually increased the number of agencies by 60%. Now that's the number of agencies that we're able to give to. Some of the new, in addition to existing agencies that we have been given to the previous years, the new agencies we're given to are Cars Changing Lives, which they're doing very good work. They want to get to the place where they're giving away 1 car per month. And I've been able to send people to them. That's right out on 522, Bill and Sandy Long. Yes, they're really doing, just over the last year, they've gotten their 501c3 status. They're working very hard on this organization and what they're doing there. We also gave to Warren County Habitat for Humanity, who they have a new executive director. Of course, they really have a lot of things they're wanting to do in terms of building homes, home ownership in this community. We also gave to Loaves and Fish's Food Pantry. Those were 3 that we hadn't given to in the prior year, but because of increases and what we were able to bring in, we could this year, and we added them, and hopefully we'll continue to keep them for years to come as we add additional agencies. But we're working hard, and just a little bit from one of the agencies we support, the Laurel Center. So this is what the Laurel Center did from April 1st to June 30th of this year. They gave advocacy services to 16 adults and 12 children, and that's in Warren County. They also gave shelter to 2 adults and 4 children. These were from Warren County for 45 nights in their Winchester office. And that's one of the agencies we support. So it's like when people are giving to the United Way, to our United Way, goes to support, because the Laurel Center is one of the agencies we do partner with year in and year out. That's going to do this real work in this community, you know, providing shelter for someone or providing advocacy services for someone. But that's just a little bit of kind of an update that I wanted to share with you. This year's Day of Caring. In the last Day of Caring, so September of 2019, there were 11,400 volunteer hours completed during that day in September of 2019. This year, because of COVID-19, the United Way Board voted to postpone the Day of Caring out to the spring, to April, which we're going to have a definite date on probably by this week. But it won't be in September this year. It'll be in April because of concerns related to COVID-19. But that's just an update. We really appreciate the support of the town, support of individuals, even that I see here, sitting here. We really appreciate that over the years. And I would ask you to continue to do that. And if you have ideas or things that you want to call the United Way and talk to us about, I'm there. Always feel free to reach out to us, because we're very interested. The United Way is always interested in increasing our influence in terms of what we do in a community. So we want to be an agency that people look to for getting things done in our community. So always feel free to do that. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them also. Yes.
Hi, I was just wondering about the dollar figures for the year-over-year revenue and the community impact grants that you guys did this year.
Yes. So the last year, I'm going to give you roundabout figures. Last year was the year before, it was around 56,000. So there was no executive director during that year. This past year, it was in the mid-90s. Those are the dollar figures.
Is that for the community impact grant or the year-over-year revenue?
That's the year-over-year revenue. On the community impact grant, so the year before we given out 30,000, and this year we're going to give out 35,000.
I have a question, but it's really actually, does the town offer payroll deductions for the employees? Okay,
yes. I brought the town every month. There's a check that comes to United Way from town employees, and I believe I do want to check to make sure this is true that they still have plenty. I brought a stack of the forms for them to have to give out to the employees.
Anybody else?
Thank you guys for your time. Really appreciate it, and thanks for all you do as well.
Thank you.
Our second item tonight is continued discussion on South Street improvement resolution. Matt?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, as you know, the last work session we discussed the South Street improvement for Alternative Plan 2. VDOT requires for the Smart Scale program, they require a resolution. The resolution is attached. I have Robbie Boyer here, should you have any questions.
I have a question that y'all probably already know the answer to this, I just don't. So in looking at the estimate worksheet, where it says like 10% under preliminary engineering and 40%, does that mean like give or take, or how? What does that number mean? The CONT, is that contingency? I'll show you right here. Like this. This part. What does that actually mean?
Yeah,
like,
contingencies.
Okay, so does that mean like in case it would go over? Is that?
Well, with it being, because once if it was funded in January, it would be 8 to 10 years before construction, so they allow a percentage.
Okay.
Just to be safe.
So that's what that.
Yeah, because the night Adam was here, originally because they hadn't finished the estimate for Alternative 2. Alternative 1 was like $1,899,000.
Right.
Alternative 2 now, because with it being 8 to 10 years out, to be safe, they're saying it's going to be $2,340,637.
Okay.
To cover the full project.
That makes sense. I just didn't understand what that difference. So,
yes, ma'am.
So that's in case the fees go up.
Yeah, to give you some room. Yeah. And we did submit the application Friday. Today was the due date.
Oh, good.
And they allow us to pass this resolution later. They gave us till October, right?
Yes. We had put a draft in with the application, and that has to be done October 30th. And then in January, they're going to let everybody know who was chosen for Smart Scale.
Matt, would you explain Smart Scale to those that are here?
Yeah, so Smart Scale is 100% VDOT reimbursement, and as opposed to the revenue sharing, which is 50%. So, and we're anticipating what, 6 years?
8 to 10.
8 to 10.
5 for engineers.
It's not, it's not a quick process. Regrettably, we wish there was a better system, but there just doesn't seem to be a better system out there right now.
And that's going to depend on the economy and whatever.
Oh, sure, and they can decide not to do it, they can decide to push it back, and they can decide not to do it.
They did, Adam did mention with all the issues that there has been with fatalities on South Street, they thought it would score very high. For being a smaller town, it would still score high because of the issues over the last 5-10 years.
Compare that to Hatter Creek Phase 2, that scored in the bottom 5%.
Yeah, it was like third from the bottom.
Third from the bottom, yeah.
Did I understand that this was originally proposed in 2006?
Yeah, originally, yeah.
That's 14 years and finally getting recognition. That's the part I struggle with. Then we're going to add on another 6 years on top of that. So you're talking 20 years before we'll see anything.
Doesn't work too fast.
No, that's for sure. I'll tell you. You're definitely right there.
You want to put it on
Yeah,
there?
put it on the agenda.
Okay.
Becky wanted consent agenda.
Okay.
I don't see any point of a whole lot of discussion on that. Okay, next item tonight is closure of Main Street.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you know, on June 8th, council approved a motion that allowed me to close Main Street. Staff is seeking council's input on whether to continue the closure of Main Street. Also, if you remember, at the last meeting, there was a petition that was circulated from a Main Street resident and merchant. There's also been petitions circulated to keep it closed. You know, I think initially the intent was to get people to dine outside and to you know, start generating some revenue during Phase 2. We're now in Phase 3. It looks like it's going to be a prolonged Phase 3. And, you know, there's some modifications we could do. We could close sections of Main Street. We could open up the Chester around the Chester Street around the gazebo, that section, and put the water barriers closer to Soul Mountain on Main Street. We could do that. We could open Main Street up to normal hours, normal business. I just wanted to get a sense from council of what your thoughts were. In general, the feedback we receive is very positive from citizens. Citizens seem to really like the idea of walking in the open air on Main Street and stopping at various places on their walk. Some businesses really enjoy Main Street being closed. We are in the hottest period of the year, in the summer, so you know, foot traffic might be less than normal, but in short, just wanted to get your sense. I do know there's an event scheduled for the 22nd of August, is that right? This weekend?
Wait.
I think it's
22nd or
24th?
The thing about the Greatest Showman,
Yes.
I could look it up.
Yeah, there's an event, I think there's an event this weekend on part of Main Street, but, so it's not something I want to do immediately, but I do think it's something we ought to try to think about how we want to, if we want to reopen it or just keep it the way it is. Yes, sir.
So Matt, you know, when we started this, you know, everybody on council, I think we all had good intentions with trying to help out with the COVID situation. And I think now, you know, we have some businesses here on Main Street that are saying that it's affecting them, you know, adversely. You know, we don't want to do that either. Is there any way we could possibly just, you know, maybe we can do it once or twice a month or once a month or something, you know, to kind of offset some, because I think it's great, you know, I like going down, you know, and I know it's been pretty positive with a lot of people. But then too, when you have, you know, shop owners here on Main Street that are complaining that, you know, it's hurting them, then I guess, you know, we need to have a discussion on what's the best course of action, you know, going forward with it.
I know on the petition, there were a lot of businesses that
Yeah.
signed it, but there were also a lot of that didn't sign it, so I thought that was interesting. And I know one of the people that spoke last week, his name wasn't on the petition, but but she obviously was not in favor of closing it, Ms.
Yeah.
Walker, so I just wonder, it looked like they collected the petition, you know, over the course of a day, probably before they gave, so I don't know. I kind of agree with Gary, it seemed like, I mean, I was down there in the beginning, and it seemed like it was well received, but I know, like, this weekend, it's like I didn't see a lot of people down there, and again, like you said, it is hot, people maybe just aren't out anyway.
Tell you something I've realized the number of residents that actually park on Main Street. Significant number of residents use up those parking spots. Even though we have a 2-hour parking limit, there's been court cases that unless you have a meter, you can't actually ticket those individuals.
I got a couple of suggestions. Did we look at what the cost is to have staff open up Main Street after 10 o'clock at night, say on Sunday night? What that overtime cost is? And one of the things that I've been looking at right here past the movie house, that alleyway that's going, it's one way south. You can come in farther away for that parking lot. Well, what if you made it one way going north? And keep this section of the town open and shut down the western piece from where the pawn shop is up to that alley. Then you have that open, and then that gazebo area is all clear and Chester's all clear. I mean, that to me makes more sense. It's just a matter of changing, even the issue about the town hall not being able to use for paying bills. You could, if that alleyway was open going north versus south, that would make it, because all it is basically a dead end going, well, not really. It goes into that one street, doesn't it? That was a suggestion I've been thinking about, and I walked it and looked at it.
And the challenge is the reason we have the hours we have is because employees are getting off work, so we don't pay time and a half, and then they come in on Monday morning in their normal shift. It's already a significant amount of work to have the crews come in, and I mean it's almost like a NASCAR pit team if you watch them. They're quite impressive.
Well, cost-wise, I was thinking that we're shutting it down basically for the virus issue.
Right.
So we could take some of that funding and reallocate it.
That's possible. BJ, you think that's possible?
I believe so. It would be for the economic development, of course,
Yeah.
redevelopment. So yeah, I do believe that would be possible.
Now, how much?
Just a thought.
Yeah.
I've been looking at this thing for
But
a long time.
has it really cost us any money to do that if it's their time?
It's their time. Yeah, it's been insignificant at this point.
Well, Matt, going back to the restaurants, there's only, what, 2 that puts any chairs out on the street, as I've seen? Is that the only 2? The rest of them are either on the alleyway or in the...
Actually, I think we have, any given weekend, maybe 3 put, get on the street. 2 of them are more heavily used than the third. So I think now that the restaurants, now that you can dine inside at 50% capacity, I think that's taken up a lot more activity inside, especially when it's hot and people want to be in air conditioning as opposed to outside. So, I mean, you're looking at fall around the corner. Fall's, a month and a half away.
And I think what we approved was through October 1st, right?
Actually, technically, as I recall the motion, I have to reread it.
It's left up to you.
I think it's left up until the state of emergency is lifted. And so that's not lifted yet. Who knows when that's going to be.
You know, I haven't seen too many eating outside on the street the last 2 or 3 times I were down, but I was down there.
It's been so hot.
Yeah, it's hot.
I'm wondering.
This weekend here was nice, but it rained all day yesterday.
Yeah.
But I mean, those like the beer, what what's called.
Brewery.
I mean, they're in the back, mostly, they don't have anything out front. And the only ones I've seen is the two down below there on the right-hand side going east. And, you know,
It's been slow.
it looks to me like, if we could talk to those people that do that, they could rearrange and just open the street back up.
Okay, I mean,
At
I'm
least
not,
talk to them and, you know, tell them what what our plans are, because like you said, like I said, every time I've gone down there, I've eaten at the brewery several times, but we was in the back portion, and the mill's on the side, and the only ones down there, Element, I don't know, Element's a little bit further down past Chester.
yeah,
right at
well,
the
they have
corner.
their seating on the
They do,
sidewalk.
yeah, they do
Right,
everything on the
so-
sidewalk,
I
so.
believe that I don't think closing the streets helping anybody as far as the eating process through the restaurants. So I don't see a reason why we couldn't just open.
You don't have a lot of retail, bricks and mortar, a lot of the bricks and mortars, they're not clamoring to keep it closed.
Yeah,
So I mean, my sense is to go ahead and plan for a reopening, but I wanted to gauge
Right.
council before, and I don't want to knee jerk, I don't want to do it this weekend. Probably do it in the following weekend, Labor Day weekend,
sure.
and see if that helps promote more activity.
But we need to make sure that the merchants are aware of what our plans are.
Sure, but we have an email list, we have Facebook groups, and then we have flyers that we typically will have people go and deliver. Okay, I have a sense of council. I'll try to gauge the timing of it.
I was
and
just
let you
gonna
know.
suggest though, the Greatest Showman, it seems like they put a lot of effort into that, so if it's this weekend, we're obviously not gonna be opening it back up, but if it's next weekend, I would just be
Yeah.
nervous that
Yeah, I don't wanna- I
it
don't
seems
wanna-
like they were planning that
Yeah.
around trying to get some of the businesses that aren't on Main Street. From what I saw, that they're gonna actually set up stuff on Main Street, so I just wouldn't wanna deter
Yeah,
that because
I
they
agree.
thought we were going
I agree.
longer.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
all right, we go to the next item 4, general discussion on the Payroll IDA.
You can call Jake, right?
Yeah, I need to call, Mr. Meza asked for me to call him. He's traveling back, I think, from Pennsylvania. And then Mr. Napier's in his office, should we need him. He's not feeling well, so he wanted to
No.
segregate himself.
Yes, please.
What's his name?
You've reached the voicemail of Jake Meza. I'm unavailable.
No, we missed it. Okay, so, I don't know if Doug, let me call Doug, see if he wants to call in.
Well, Matt, do you think since we can't get Jake, that we ought to just postpone it to another meeting?
We can, yes, sir. I
It's
mean,
up to the council.
whatever you want to do, that's fine. This is going to be Doug, I think.
Hello?
Hey, Doug, you have council here. We're on open session on the
Okay,
EDA issue.
all right.
Do you guys want to discuss it without Jake? Or do you want
I think we should wait for Jake. I know it's really a big initiative for him. But of course, it would be whatever majority decides.
Yeah, I'm good with it. Since he wanted to call in, I think maybe we ought to wait.
Wait,
I'm fine with waiting, yeah. I mean, if he
Yeah.
didn't really care about it.
Gives us
then
more
he-
time
Yeah,
to
right.
digest everything in this
Yeah.
bylaws as well.
That's good. What I can, just so you know, Mr. Mayor, members of council, the intent of the bylaws is to get you to start thinking, and I think Mr. Napier wanted to get some direction. If you like the direction of the bylaws, as you know, the first step will be actually appointing a board, and then once the board's appointed, then they adopt the bylaws. Is that right, Doug?
That's correct.
So do read through these draft bylaws, see if it's something that, if it's a direction you wanted to go in the event we end up going down that path or not.
Mr. Napier, could I just contact you later with some of the like typos and stuff like that? Is that the best way to go?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's what happens with a teacher, right?
Okay, well then go ahead and reschedule, Matt.
Okay.
Probably the next work session.
Okay, we'll do.
And we'll go ahead and do it that way.
We'll do. Thank you. Thanks, Doug.
Yes, absolutely.
Next item tonight is closed meeting. Do I hear someone make a motion, please?
You ready? I move that council convene and go into closed meeting for the following purposes. Consultation with legal counsel and briefings by staff members or consultants pertaining to actual or probable litigation concerning the EDA. Where such consultation or briefing in open meeting would adversely affect the negotiating or litigating posture of the public body. Probable litigation, meaning litigation that has been specifically threatened or on which the public body or its legal counsel has a reasonable basis to believe will be commenced by or against a known party, pursuant to section 2.2-3711.a.7 of the Code of Virginia. 2, discussion concerning a prospective business or industry or the expansion of an existing business or industry regarding town-owned property, where no previous announcement has been made of the businesses or industry's interest in locating or expanding its facilities in the community, pursuant to section 2.2-3711.a.5 of the Code of Virginia.
Have a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thanks everybody for coming, but we're gonna be going into closed meeting here in a couple of minutes. Let's take a couple minute break and then we'll get back into it.
Okay.